When I was a little boy, growing up in the streets of Brooklyn, I had a little friend, a Jewish kid named Saul. When the weather was warm, we'd go up to McKinley Park. We had on overalls and t-shirts. We each had a bucket and a shovel. We'd sit in a sand pile and play, and chatter away about what we were going to do with our lives when we got big. We became quite close, but as the years passed, our paths parted. In 1950, the Korean War came along. I was a sophomore in college, kind of drifting, going nowhere, drinking a lot of beer. So I dropped out, I enlisted in the Marine Corps. Saul went in the Army. When the war ended, he went on to law school and married. I got engaged to be married. The Lord dropped a bomb into my tight little world. I wound up in a Franciscan seminary in the Catholic Church and got ordained a priest. Some 8 years had passed since Saul and I had seen one another, when one day, apparently by coincidence, we met in the streets of Brooklyn. We had an animated conversation, and in the course of it, he told me that he had recently become a convert from the Jewish faith to Christianity. Well, I was intrigued to learn how a Jew looks at Jesus, another Jew, because Jews, in their Semitic thought patterns, tend to be much more creative, poetic, and imaginative than we comparatively staid, literalistic Westerners. So I asked him, Saul, what's your understanding of Jesus? He said, let me think about it, I'll tell you tomorrow. We met the next day, walked up to McKinley Park, sat down in the sand pile, and what he told me moved me so deeply that I urged him to have it published, which he did a year later. It's now read in 26 languages all over the world, has become the largest selling book in the history of the Harper & Row Publishing Company, and I'm sure that many of you here this morning are familiar with it. Once upon a time there was a tree, and she loved a boy, and the boy loved the tree. Every day he would come and climb up her trunk, swing from her branches, eat her apples. When he was tired, he'd lie in her shade. When he was active, they'd play hide and go seek. One day, the boy carved in the trunk of the tree, "Tree, I love thee," and that made the tree very happy. But for some reason, the boy stayed away 2 whole days. When he came back, the tree was so happy, she literally shook with joy. She said, "Come, boy, climb up my trunk, swing from my branches, eat apples and be happy." The boy said, In the last 2 days, I found out what real fun is like. So I need some money. You got any money? I have no money, said the tree. But pluck all my apples, sell them in the city, get money and be happy. So the boy plucked all her apples, and he went away and the tree was happy. But now the boy stayed away a month. When he came back, the tree was so happy, she could hardly speak. She said, "Come, boy, climb up my trunk, swing from my branches and be happy." Life is a lot more serious than fun and games, the boy said. I want to get married, settle down and have a family, so I need a house. Can you give me a house? The forest is my house, said the tree, but cut down my branches, boy, and build a house. The boy cut down all her branches, and he went away, and the tree was happy, but not really. A year passed. Finally, the boy returned. The tree said, "Come, boy, climb up my trunk and be happy." Yuck. I am bored. I am disgusted with life. I want to get away to a foreign country. So I need a boat. Can you give me a boat? Cut down my trunk and build a boat, said the tree. The boy cut down her trunk and he sailed away. 40 years later, when he returned, the tree looked up and said, "But I have no apples. There's nothing to eat. My teeth are too weak to chew," said the boy. "I have no branches, you can't swing. I'm too tired to swing. I have no trunk, you can't climb. I'm too old to climb." "I'm sorry," said the tree. "I have nothing to give you." "Oh, I don't need very much anymore," the boy said. "Just a quiet place to sit and rest." And the tree, straightening herself up as majestically as she could, said, "Well, an old stump is good for something. Come, boy, sit and rest." And the boy did, and the tree was happy. And that's all Silverstein said is my understanding of Jesus Christ. in his beautiful modern parable, which he calls the giving tree. When the tree freely surrenders her apples, her branches, and her trunk, Saul said, I'm reminded of Jesus, of whom Paul wrote in Philippians, he emptied himself. He emptied himself. He cried out his heart, nailed up his hands, and poured out his blood to help us believe that he loves us.